Oh, perfect. Wow. Thank you. Okay, let me use my clap now. That was absolutely perfect. What a great way to start this evening. So good evening and welcome back, everybody, to the AACUC After Hours. My name is Sheila Porter, and I will be your host for this evening. If you have any questions during the session, please use the chat, and we'll have some time. Actually, throughout this session, we'll have a little bit of Q&A going through. Thank you again for our sponsors. Thank you, of course, to AACUC and our title sponsor, PSCU, and our sponsor for today, Q's, and all of our other sponsors that have made this just an amazing day two. Second day, I can't believe it. We've learned so much, and I'm so glad to have you guys with us. So don't forget to share on your social media. We have plenty of hashtags out there for everyone to share, and share with everyone to let them know just how much fun you're having, how much you're learning. We have our, of course, hashtag C2C 2020. We have our hashtag AACUC 2020, hashtag changed, hashtag AACUC, hashtag CU_Unite, and our hashtag CUBLM, Black Lives Matter. So tonight, we're going to have just kind of a few discussions. We're going to reflect on today's sessions and the incredible leaders that we've learned from today. During tonight's session, I want you to think about 3 things you learned today, 2 things you want to investigate further, and 1 thing you want to implement immediately. So we'll share along the way. We'll ask and answer some questions, learn from each other. So let's get this party started. So first question, and Ms. Angela, I don't know if we're able to do the poll, but the first question I have for you, did you have a remote workforce before the crisis hit? All right, Ms. Angela, what's our stats looking like, madam?
Let's give folks just a little bit more time to answer. They're coming in.
Oh, great, thank you. So I know that a lot of people had to make a lot of last minute changes. We had some folks that, of course, had worked remote on part of our team, some of our ITS teams, but I know for our contact center, call center, a lot of those folks had never worked remote. So it was a big shift. And in talking with other peers, what's been very interesting also was there was a lot of resistance in a lot of companies about working remote. So in doing that, that switch came in of now they're seeing just how productive people have been in working remote. So Ms. Angela, you want to share?
Absolutely. So first question, did you have a remote workforce before this? 54% of the people said yes. 46% said no.
Oh, wow.
And the second question, did you have a Zoom or WebEx account before this? And if yes, which ones? We could pick multiples. So 36% had Zoom, 25% had Teams, 21% WebEx, 14% GoToMeeting, 14% something else, 29% no. So 29% of us have never used any kind of tool like this before.
Wow. So for that 29%, that was a major switch for you then, because for our company, we are a WebEx company in Teams. So Zoom, I created a Zoom account for the first time, like about a week ago. So this was actually my first time using Zoom. And thank you very much, Ms. Angela showed us a little bit earlier, the folks that were on earlier showed us how to change the hue in our clapping hands. Learning a lot learned even more about WebEx. I don't know about you guys, but that first time we did major meetings with WebEx, I probably, that first 2 weeks, I almost lost my hearing with folks dialing in on both their phone and their computers, and that shrill scream coming through. And it was very, very tough. So the next question, and I want you guys to, like we said, we can use chat if you feel more comfortable using chat, but I'd love for you guys to hear from you also, since we can see you on the video, but take yourself off mute. And I would love to hear, how has the pandemic, recession, and social justice protests impacted your credit union? We heard from leaders today, but I'd like to hear from you guys. So how has it impacted you and your credit union? Any volunteers to take themselves off mute?
I can go ahead if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
I work in Pensacola, Florida at Penn Air Federal Credit Union, and I'll roll through each one of these really quick. The pandemic, it just really restructured how we do business, closing down to the public, accepting appointments only, just kind of things like that. Our member service center call volume increased by 50%, and our interactive teller machines, which is what the majority of our drive-throughs are going to now, increased by over 100%. So
wow.
It really pushed our members to that more technological interactive experience, although they're kind of itching to get back to see whatever normal is going to look like after this. The recession, in a sense, hasn't necessarily had an impact yet. We actually are still having record loan growth and membership growth. We actually have a pretty good certificate rate right now that got wrote up in a magazine somewhere. I can't tell you what magazine it was, but we're getting a lot of mail-in checks of people opening accounts just to take advantage of a certificate. So we're having growth in memberships. And unfortunately, in my opinion, and just saying this in the safest, nicest way possible, on the social justice side, I think there was a moment where our credit union was going to kind of take the more silent approach to it, and just kind of choose to say nothing. There was a point where it was made realized to them that saying nothing was going to be saying more to our employees of minority and employees of color and kinds of like that. To say nothing was just going to speak a level of disrespect to them. So we finally did decide to kind of make it a statement and navigating to see what's next on that. I think that's what's on everybody's mind at our credit union is, well, then what's next? If we did take a stance, what are we going to do now? So.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you, Casey. Yeah. And like you said, we came out with the message also, it's not okay to say nothing. I love for others. We'd love to hear back from you. Anyone else would like to share?
Hey, I'll share just a little bit. I work at Public Employees Federal Credit Union, so we're largely single seg, and so from a recession and a pandemic standpoint, our members really have been affected, I think, in some pretty different ways than perhaps more open or community memberships or charters. So obviously Public's business is booming, and in a lot of ways they're growing right now, which is very different than I think most of the business landscape. And so we've seen sort of increased digital usage across the board, but also have seen some promising returns in terms of members investing or applying for loans. So in that area, I think we've been blessed. I think our members have been doing relatively well through this, fortunately. On the social justice issue, being a single seg organization, and I'm brand new, so I'm sort of witnessing all this, both to the industry and to the organization, but being a single seg credit union, I think that there's a tension in the relationship, of course, with both the credit union and then the organization that you serve. And sort of, I know that we took the approach of, well, what is Publix going to say? And we're going to sort of follow their lead. And Publix, while internally, I think there was a soft addressing of the issue, and externally there was a soft addressing of an issue. That's kind of as far as it went. And I think that was the same for us too. And it's definitely a struggle to say, well, should we be in a position as a financial institution, as a credit union, to actually lead in this case, maybe rather than follow. So.
Mm-hmm. Good insight. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to share?
I
right.
can go ahead.
Right.
Another crash here. So I'm just going to jump to the social justice because I work for a credit union, Corporate Central Credit Union. And since the, what they call it, the social unrest kind of started, I've been very vocal that we should say something. I'm still very vocal. We haven't said anything yet. I do have to have that fine line. I'm not in leadership. I do worry about my job. But this does mean a lot to me. And it's, when it happened, it was interesting because I live in downtown Milwaukee. I'm right near all the protests and everything that was going on. I got a call Monday morning and I thought I was going to get let go because that came on. But it was nice to hear from at least my supervisor, who's not really in leadership at our credit union, that he was fully supportive. He was just happy to know that I was safe from anything that kind of came on. But it's just been frustrating to have them not say anything. Luckily enough, I do have a call or meeting with one of our leadership this week. So I really appreciate everything that's being given to us. I feel that's a little, some more quivers in my, or arrows in my quiver to support this. And I'm not done fighting this, and we'll do something in the near future. And I feel finding more of my coworkers that are very supportive of this. One of them is on the call, that it's going to get done sooner rather than later, but that hopefully our leadership does embrace the change that's about to be coming.
Excellent. And like you said, there's so many folks here on the phone that can offer advice, offer assistance. Feel free to provide information in the chat. But this whole conference, Ms. Renee, putting together this conference is basically that opportunity to heal and to learn. And to also, what we talked about today and we'll be talking about tomorrow, we're talking about the leadership in time of crisis. Tomorrow, we're talking about action. So tomorrow is like, what can we do next? There's a sequence in this conference. It really takes you through from how do we first deal with the pain to how do we keep moving forward. So I really appreciate you sharing. Would anyone else like to share? Okay. Well, next, I'll move on to the next question then. So how effective was your leadership during this crisis? And I'll share just personally, for my department, and particularly on the social justice protests, I lead a department, Enterprise Program Management Office, and in June, for my department meeting, I opened up and said, we're going to have an open discussion. I am the only African-American female VP in our company, and I wanted to have a discussion. I wanted to talk. So I felt that safe zone because first it was my group, and I was so blessed that my group felt safe to talk with me. And we had no questions, was too hard, out of place, anything you wanted to ask. I wanted to hear their reaction. I wanted to hear how they were doing. And then recently, we had my manager, my leaders, we had our direct reports, her direct reports had a meeting. And nothing had really been shared about it, so I brought it up. And again, it was more me going to my management and my peers and stating, I would like to have a discussion with them about the social justice, and I would be happy to lead that discussion. So I volunteered to lead that discussion because it was something that I wanted to do for just pretty much my healing, but it's also something I wanted to do and share with the company. So I created a deck, and now we have other departments that are reaching out to have our leadership. Our Sankofa is our business and employee resource, African-American employee resource group. And we're going to other departments because a lot of people, as my boss said, it's like I really didn't know what to say. And that saying nothing was the preference because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And so how I explained it was just like if you have one of your best friends and they lose a loved one, and you may not have lost a loved one, but that person is going through that grief. So you may not have the words to say, but at least you want to say something. You want to tell them, hey, I may not know what you're going through, but I'm here to listen and I'm here to support. I heard so many great words today in today's session, the words like compassion. I heard support. I heard empathy. Those are words, that in leadership that I would expect during this crisis. So I would love to hear, we've heard from some people how their leadership did. I would love to hear how effective was your leadership during this crisis and some of the lessons learned. What do you think that your leadership did great? And then what are some of the examples of, there's an opportunity for them.
So
So
Ms.
who would
Sheila,
like to share?
I did do a poll
Yes, ma'am.
question, Ms. Sheila. So I did ask how effective was your leadership during this crisis? And I do have one for the next question as well. And I used a random scale on a scale of meh to fantastic. 20% of us felt that we were meh, 8% not bad, 20% good, 28% really good, and 24% fantastic.
Wow. Okay, Val, that's a great scale then. I would love to hear just from a little bit of everybody. First, some of those folks that your leaders just did fantastic. Please share. So
choose me.
Go for it.
ACUC did fantastic because we created commitment to change, credit unions unite against racism because of Marvin York. So yay!
Well, Miss Renee, and I'm going to tell you, Miss Renee has been on a speaker's tour because I believe probably every credit union, if you have not signed her up to speak to your organization, please do, because she really helped. I've got to say, our leadership has been fantastic. We had our CEO and our HR really embrace, and we went to the expert. We went to the person to help us heal, and that was Miss Renee. And we had over 600 employees attend 2 days of sessions, and it was really just to have an open discussion like we're having right now, just to really talk it out. So who else would like to share?
I can go ahead and share if that's okay. Can y'all hear me?
Please. Yes, Mr. Sethi, please do.
I would like to say that, I would like to hope that my leadership stood out. Since the pandemic, I have actually had a promotion to AVP of Member Solutions. And what that entails is a glorified collections department. Our EVP is retiring, and my CEO did approach me and say that, I don't see anyone that is able to fill those shoes internally but you, which was a huge compliment. But I did tell him that I wanted to eliminate the term collections. We know what that is, but you have people that are hurting right now through this pandemic, and I wanted to be some form of a solution to that. So I asked him if we can totally revamp that department into Member Solutions, and he 100% agreed with me. And that in turn, while the water is boiling, you get to ask whatever you want while it's going good. So, during I'll go back to Mark's point with the social justice, and I am one of the few African Americans in my organization, and I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, if anybody didn't know that, where we are still struggling with a lot of that. So during all the protests and things like that, I have employees that are looking up to the CEO, like, say something. But then I chose to be the person, I wanted to be the person that would be the bright spot to be in some form of change and to head a lot of that up. So I did stand and say, I want to take charge in this, and I would hope that, senior management, you guys will allow me to do so. Yes, I don't want it as a token Black African American, but I want it as representation of the Blacks here in my community, as well as being a really good representative of this organization. And again, they graciously agreed. So it allowed space for our DEI program to take a stance. I have now the opportunity to create meetings and a safe space to have the discussion, which was unheard of in my neck of the woods. The conversation is a must, and it has gone great so far. And I've gotten so many great tools and insight from this meeting alone. I can go on and on about the support that I've gotten in just a very short time, and it has to start somewhere. And I really, really appreciate everybody that has had some form of influence with that. I will definitely be the example in Mississippi to get us going. So I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Mr. Cedric. That's fantastic. That is beautiful to hear. All right, I know we have some others. Who was that meh or that middle of the road where you saw that opportunity, what would you have liked to have seen from them? Those that are in the, like say, not too hot, not too cold, more the lukewarm form people, or those that it didn't meet your expectations of what you wanted to see from your leadership. Please, would love to hear from you.
I'll jump in. Hi, my name is Wendy.
Okay.
And I
Hey,
thought
Ms.
we
Wendy.
started out with regard to social justice. I thought as an executive team, we started out really well. Our CEO put together a very compassionate message to our employees of color, which was extremely well received by all employees. We started working on a forum for our Black employees to share their thoughts, experiences with executive management, just a listen and learning session. Where it got a little rocky is when, as was mentioned yesterday, when white people got uncomfortable. And we had decided to do 9 minutes of silence where we opened late one morning. Actually, it was on the 1 month anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. And we had everyone, we offered to purchase BLM t-shirts for every employee who wanted one. And the white male heterosexual component of our executive team elected not to participate. And it was very noticeable among our teams who was there and who wasn't. And it saddened me greatly.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing, Ms. Wendy. I know that pushback is going to come back sometime. Oh, go ahead.
Sheila, let me just speak to that. Not everybody's at the same place on the journey. So you really want to give people space, because it probably was from a place of they didn't know what to say. And so when people don't know what to say, they say nothing, and then it's interpreted as something else. So we do like Michelle Obama, we take the high road. So we go high when other people go low. So we're going to just embrace with love and understanding. So I just offer that as a way to think about that person may be very troubled and not know what to say. So what you can do is you can slyly send him a link to one of our podcasts, and that way he might have the words that he needs later on.
Thanks, Renee.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Ms. Renee. And I know that, sometimes folks feel like the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, is more political. So we have found solutions where it's like, okay, well, our hashtag will be hashtag change. going back to AACUC. You know, it's like for us, this is the commitment. PSU's commitment was to this conference and to Miss Renee and that partnership with her, and to show it's like this is our statement. We are committed to change. So Marvin can tell you from PSU's standpoint, that has been the forefront for us, and we're marching forward on it. And so you may get some pushback. You're going to get some folks that, you know, like Renee said, they're not ready for that journey. They're not ready to be on that road yet. But we still move forward. And what a great opportunity they have to educate. You know, you've got lots of YouTube videos that you're going to be able to send them to help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who else would like? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Marvin.
Say absolutely. It's not hypothetical. You know, you're going to have some challenges, but we're committed to move forward. No matter what the situation with that person, they may not be, you know, able to say something right now, but we're going to continue to offer them some safe space where they can actually talk. So, and we've done that at our company, where if you're not ready for it, we'll give you a one-on-one. Come ask the questions so that you're prepared to lead. If you're a leader, you have to be prepared to lead. And so let us educate you on how to lead through this.
Would anyone else like to share about their leadership and what you would like?
Go
ahead.
Hi, so I'm Esperanza. I'm out in Idaho at CapEd Credit Union. It's a education credit union, an education-based credit union. When the whole crisis started, we did really well. Like, we were way ahead of the game. It was awesome, which really gave me a lot of hope until everybody got comfortable. So our leadership stopped communicating. They stopped telling us what the plans were. When it came to like COVID cases, nobody knew what was happening. It was a lot of us reaching out and asking. And then when it came to social justice and the protest, I kid you not, I am still surprised that I still have a job, because I actually decided to take it upon myself and email our SVP of HR and ask, are we going to say anything? Are we going to address what's going on? Like, I feel like we need to say something because you have a diverse work group. I'm one of the people in training. I am the only minority in our training department. And so I'm like, I feel like we need to say something, and not saying something to me is being complacent. So I freaked out when I sent it, but I sent it anyways. They ended up going ahead and actually releasing a statement internally. So then my next battle was, how do I get this to be sent to our members? Because again, in Idaho, we have a very big group of Hispanics and minorities, refugees. And so I'm like, we have a big member base of that. They need to know where we stand. So again, I went back to my email. I'm like, oh, you're either going to have a job or you're not going to have a job, or they're going to hate you. And I asked again, and it took quite a few emails to get something sent out. It wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, like something bold, like some of the other credit unions were doing. Like I shared all of the credit unions, all of the crashers, fellow crashers. I shared all that stuff. And it was very subtle. It wasn't exactly what I wanted or what I thought we should do as an organization, but it's getting there. Like, I feel like our next step is definitely DEI. And for my crasher fam from the GAC for this year, they know how passionate I am about that. So I've been pushing for it. I just kind of wish that our leadership was a little bit more diverse, because right now it just feels like it's little me, training and development specialist, trying to say, hey, like, listen up, we have to wake up. There's a change, and we need to be that change. We need to start that, especially living in this state. So there's room for improvement, definitely. And I'll keep trying. Hopefully they don't get tired of me.
That's called leadership. Like I said earlier, leadership is a decision. It's not necessarily a role. It's Esperanza, you are in the leader right there. So yeah, I see that diverse leadership coming, because you're starting it right there. That is amazing. So proud of you. That is excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. All right, anyone else? All right, Ms. Angela, so you have our poll. Has your credit union launched any specific initiatives or programs to assist employees to cope and remain engaged?
Yes, ma'am, just launched it.
All right.
We'll give people a second to weigh in on that.
Okay, excellent. And we heard some from our leadership this morning. So I would love to hear specifics from you guys on some of the things that your credit unions have done, because the other part of this is just being able to share with others, being able to take it back, offer some suggestions, really helping. It's the credit union industry, like Ms. Lynette said this morning, credit union is best. It's the best industry. So, which I totally agree, because it is people helping people. So that's what this session is about also, is like people helping people, and how can we help each other, or what things, how do we think outside the box? One of the things that is important to me is that people remember this is not going to go away. You know, I think a lot of folks, I was watching I don't know if you've seen the movie The Queen, and it was about Queen Elizabeth and how she dealt with the death of Princess Diana. It was on this weekend. And one of the things that her husband, Prince Philip, stated was, oh, well, this will just dry out in a couple of days. You don't have to worry about it. And after she passed away, everybody will forget her in 2 days and we won't have to deal with this. Yeah, that didn't happen. So again, the same thing with this, I think, and I'm quite sure some people hope it will just go away and then I won't have to do any actions. I won't have to do any initiatives. But as we've seen, the pandemic is not going away. The recession's not going away, and the social justice protests are not going away. So we've got to figure out ways that we can keep not only people engaged, keep them motivated, help them through this crisis. Because you've got a lot of folks that are having to make tough decisions about kids going to school, about their finances, about a lot of things right now. So, Ms. Angela, what does our poll look like?
So 69% of us say yes, our credit union has launched a specific initiative or program. 31% say no. And a couple things that have come up in the chat. We formulated a DEI committee and have started town hall sessions that employees can take part in. We've doubled down on a DEI initiative that seems to still be forming. In the moment, we're offering counseling services. Larry, maybe you want to come on the line. Loan payment relief, low interest rate loans, and small dollar loans.
Oh, very good. Larry, would you like to share?
Well, now that I read the question, it did say employees. I was thinking members there for
Oh,
a
no,
moment.
remember employees, because remember, a lot of times your employees are members also.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we were able to do a lot. What I'm really proud of is those are nice. But what I was really proud of what we did was we formed a community give back committee that I was fortunate to serve on. So we sought out frontline workers, people on the lines, and we funded not-for-profits. We bought food for nurses and doctors and had it delivered to their hospitals. We donated diapers for food pantries and food and things like that, and also made dollar donations to charities who would normally not be able to continue to serve their communities. So we did lots of those types of things, along with the low interest rate and skipper payments and things like that for our members. And for our employees as well, we laid no one off, no one lost his or her jobs because of the pandemic. So those are the types of things our management, we were able to do for our staff members. So very proud of Together Credit Union for taking a stand. And we took a stand early on and caught some vile comments back from some, I'll just say, sick members. But we marched on with that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fantastic here, Larry. Thank you.
Sure.
Would anyone like to share some of the programs that they or initiatives, both for your members and for your employees, or in your community, like you said, with the community?
I'd like to share. Hi, everyone. Hazel May here. I work at BECU, and I'm really proud to be from BECU because of kind of the action-oriented steps that we're taking and the commitments that we've made. But one of the more recent ones that come up that does impact our community and our employees is we actually establish a member code of conduct. So we really put it out there that we are going to be anti-racist is the language that we kind of use, not tolerant of prejudice and activities or behaviors in our branches between our members and our employees that aren't fitting to kind of the environment that we're taking a stand on. And then in conjunction with that, internally we did a respectful workplace agreement, which is part of our employee resource guide, to also double down that we are, as an organization, believing in our DE&I programs and initiatives, and having all employees recognize that this is part of your agreement to work at BECU.
Fantastic. That's excellent. Thank you very much, Hazel May. Appreciate that. All right. Would anybody else like to share?
Hi, Sheila. It's Andrea Williams with the Carolinas Credit Union League. Our leadership team has done some remarkable things at the league. A couple of things that we've done is just to keep our members engaged with us is we've provided free training, free webinars, and that's been widely received on a positive note. To help our employees, we've kind of reignited our EAP program because sometimes working from home can be a little bit stressful when you're not in your office and have all the convenience of all your equipment and materials, things of that nature. So we have reignited our EAP program. That's been very helpful. It's also been somewhat of a resource for staff trying to find childcare, and also with some of their elderly parents that they've been caring for. So that's been helpful. We also stay engaged with our employees by having a staff meeting every Monday. And we connect on Zoom so we can see each other, just get updates on each of our departments, anything that's going on. And we also have a weekly theme, which kind of is a fun thing to do. We just roll out a weekly theme so people can share pictures about how they're staying fit, family reunion traditions, things of that nature. So it's kind of just to take it off topic and off the stress of work and make it more personal. And that's been very effective. So.
Oh, excellent. Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. So I did want to share with you guys, just to ask you, what are your thoughts from today? Powerful slide to me, the 4 behaviors that we talked about: decide with speed over precision, adapt boldly, deliver reliably, and engage for impact. I think today, what I want to make sure you take from this is I would love to hear back from you 3 things you learned today, 2 things you want to research, and 1 thing you would like to implement. So would anyone like to share? Something that they learned. Go ahead, Mr. Casey.
I apologize. I would say not necessarily, I don't know that I have it into words yet, the 3 things I learned today, but the panelists in the general session this afternoon were absolutely out of this world. I don't think there was a moment where at least one of them didn't have my jaw on the floor, and somebody just commented, listen, learn, listen, and love, and that was one of them. Max was phenomenal. I thought that one of the things that he brought to the forefront, one of my biggest frustrations through the past few months, has just been the silence of some leadership around different areas. And I think as someone who's in management and you're having to answer questions for your employees under you, but you also have to take questions up. Silence sometimes can be rather deafening. And I think that when Max said earlier today that leadership, that employees need to be navigated through crisis and kind of things like that, and that leadership can't be invisible. And I thought that was just a huge point of something that I had kind of already been feeling over the past few months, because through all of this, our CEO has retired. We had a pretty big tragedy with one of our employees in the credit union who unfortunately her life was taken, and a couple of different things. So not just the social injustice, not just the COVID, but just as a family all together, there's just been things. And I feel like there were times where silence was chosen over just acknowledging the uncomfort and acknowledging, hey, I personally, Casey as a manager has had to say 100 times in the past 3 months, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It'd be really good to hear somebody higher than me come back and say, hey, we don't know either, but we're going to make it through this together. And so hearing Max speak up on that today and say, hey, leadership can't be invisible during crisis was huge, huge for me. And it just kind of confirmed how I had already been feeling. And so that's been my biggest takeaway today. And then learn, listen, love. I thought that was phenomenal as well. The panelists, whoever chose the panelists for this afternoon session, give them a raise, give them, just do it, send them on vacations, whatever they need. That was perfect.
Yes, I the same thing. Thank you, Mr. Casey. The same thing, that learn, listen, and love. The 3 L's. That's going to be in my head. I'm going to try to remember that, when you're engaging with others, man. That's fantastic. What about others? You don't have to do the 3, 2, 1, but was there something that just hit home for you today that you're going to put in your toolkit?
I gotta go. Oh,
sorry. One quick thing that I would love to share was during the YPS session, Wesley Williams gave an amazing piece of advice about not just having a mentor, but also having a coach. And thinking of it like a sports team, right? They're going to help you adjust and course correct. They also encourage you, but they also sometimes tell you when you're not doing something the way that you should be doing, and that you shouldn't just have a mentor, but you should also have a coach too. So I've always had mentors, but I've never identified someone who could really be a coach. And I think that is one of the biggest takeaways that I took today, is to identify someone within my circle that can actually help coach me to be a better leader.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Courtney. Mr. Craig?
yeah, I just wanted to pop in here and say, hope is not a strategy. I can't remember who said that today, but I've got it in my notes here. I want to say maybe it was Mr. Timothy Anderson, but I just,
yes.
That to me, and then listening to stories from people on this call, some fellow crashers and everybody listening, or, offering sort of their experience in the past couple months and how they've spoken up. I'm being new to the industry. I'm kind of looking around at everybody and saying, okay, so what is all this? And I get the people helping people, and I love that. It's what drew me in the first place, but what does that really look like? And seeing those examples of action and courageous action, it's very much like hope is not a strategy. Action is action. That's, if I take one thing away from this week, I think that might be it.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The internet could have shut down after the phrase that I heard today that said people don't care what you know until they understand how much you care. Like, that did it for me, because that just said that you have to, it's going to forever put you in a place of action, meaning you're going to always be in the forefront of wanting to do something, make a difference before people will acknowledge anything. So that goes back to leadership, that goes back to just being active. That one did it for me.
Yeah, I'm seeing all kind of hashtags of t-shirts being made. I see cups for people. Just a great opportunity. Well, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining with us tonight. Thank you again for just being open and sharing and helping others to learn. Don't forget, we have our general session tomorrow, Taking Action to Affect Change. Starts at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Again, thank you to our sponsors, of course, AACUC, PSCU, and CUES. Thank you to all of you, because this would not be a session. We would be nothing without you. You're the ones that really, really put the meat into this, put the learning into this. Your chats during the sessions are phenomenal. We're just learning every time I read something. It's just been fantastic. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to come to our AACUC after hours party here, and for just joining us and learning and sharing. All right, everyone, have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.